But now, we move on to our next talk. We will have also 3 participants here on stage. This is Navigating Change, how regulations and green finance influence the financial sector and companies. Because sometimes people are mentioning for the entrepreneurs, you know what, you have to do it. Why? Because finance. Now, purpose is we will be talking how evolving regulations and the rise of green finance and reshaping the financial sector are influencing companies of all sizes, not only small and medium. So experts will examine how banks are integrating sustainability into their strategies, what this means for corporate reporting and access to finance, and how businesses can align with emerging expectations to stay competitive in a changing regulatory landscape. So how to know what's going on. So please welcome our participants. Sustainability Area Manager for Corporate Banking at Swedbank Latvia, Marta Luste. Marta, welcome. Any chair, except this one, please. Then we have co-chair of a Sustainable Finance Working Group at Finance Latvia Association, Sustainability Officer at Signet Bank, Nora Pastoren. Nora. And co-chair of Sustainable Finance Working Group at Finance Latvia Association and head of sustainability at SEB Latvia, Viktors Toropovs. Yeah, sure. And Viktors also. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, each panelist should now introduce themselves. You have 1 minute. And let's talk about your role in the field. What do you do? Why we can't live without you?
Okay, I'll start. So I'm Marta Luste. I'm the Sustainability Area Manager in Corporate Banking in Swedbank Latvia. I've been in this line of work for a little bit more than 3 years, and what I do in my daily life, and why you can't live without me, hopefully, is that I work with our client executives on individual sustainability assessments of companies. We also work on green financing deals, so we're assessing the credibility, the criteria, the compatibility with green financing frameworks. Also work with the sustainability-linked loans, which is something maybe we'll touch upon a little bit later as well, and competence lift as well. I would say that this is a continuous activity that we're trying to take care of, and it's usually the sustainability experts who are bringing this into the company and working with that daily.
Do you feel like you're adding value?
I do. When we walk out of a client meeting and there's been at least one insight, one helpful thing for the client, then I do. Then I'm happy at the end of the day.
Are they open to what you have to offer?
Yeah, they listen. I don't think we had clients who are actively hostile to the information. They challenge us, which is reasonable, which is good, but I think they are open to listening. And we do hear that after a while, maybe they implement some steps, even if they are small in the beginning, but it kind of echoes on in their work.
Mm-hmm. All right, thank you, Marta. Nora?
Yeah, so once again, my name is Nora. Very happy to be here. And just to quickly introduce myself, so in my early youth, I actually was pretty sure that I will end up saving turtles or whales or pandas or whatever. Yeah, but life had other plans. I found myself in finance, which I enjoyed a lot. But still, this itch about that something is missing, it didn't go away. And finally, in 2018, when the definition and the discipline and the term of sustainable finance emerged, so it all clicked together for me. Yeah, so today I am a sustainability consultant for companies. I also am a sustainability officer within a bank, which means all the different things that Marta already explained. And also I am, have the honor to be a co-chair, together with Viktors, at the Sustainable Finance Working Group within Latvia Finance Association. So we all together try to make also some changes and improvements in sustainable finance in Latvia.
It's interesting. I was listening to you and thought of one of my conversations with my daughter, and she said that she hates what's happening in the world in terms of, say, sustainability, and she want to do something and be very loud and outspoken. And I said, "What's your leverage?" And then she was thinking, "Yeah, what's my leverage?" And listening to you, it sounds like a leverage.
Yeah, actually, I'm super happy to hear about your daughter, and I really hope that there will be a lot of daughters who are saying that they care about this, and I think everybody, each voice which is active, which is loud and saying we care, that is so much important. So encourage your daughter to tell that she cares. That's important.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, we even decided which would be the plaque she would go to Greta's global demonstration. And one of the variants was, "It's so bad, even introverts are here." It was my favorite, but she chose the other one. Yeah. So, Viktors.
Yeah, no, first of all, thanks for inviting.
Microphones?
Works? No?
Yeah,
no, works, good. So on a daily basis, I'm heading sustainability area in the bank, but I'm spending actually about, I would say, roughly 20% on Latvia level, and the rest goes really on the Baltic level. My job is, I would say, to read and to understand pretty complex regulatory stuff, which sometimes is very boring, sometimes maybe too complex for others to understand, but basically the job is to structure that in a way that we are able to change our processes, to implement new different type of the things, tools, how we are working with customers, how those processes works in the bank, how we are managing our risks, and that involves really cross-functional level, that involves a lot of internal, external stakeholders, but also Nora touched that we are working a lot also through the association with different representatives of the policymakers, and coming and sometimes chasing that there are things to change on the legislation level, that it gets easier not only for the banks but for the companies, for the society in general. So that's what we are doing. And of course, clients, different type of the events, competence development within the organization, and so on and so on. Actually, very, very, I would say, wide scope of different tasks and very interesting area.
What is interesting, what is the motivation of your organizations, of banks and financial institutions? Because I have heard that sometimes it's taxonomy, sometimes it's green course, sometimes it's EU Commission, and then the question is there motivation within the banking system? Why? Because, for example, let's take Latvia. If you have a green project, that's like plus 50% in expenses, and you think as a bank, what is the margin we can all gain? And then you think, you know what? Let's calm down. Let's don't do the all BREEAM way. So what is your internal motivation for green financing? Yeah.
Yeah, can I start? So I have to unfortunately mention also regulation, but I really hate speaking about regulation. My colleagues already know this. Because I don't think that it's a driver of sustainability. It gives us a very good framework. It indicates the important things that we have to think about, like what is important on global scale. It also gives a good guideline, sometimes a very strict guideline on how we should operate, but on overall that is how I look at the regulation. But in terms of this main driver, as you mentioned or asked, is definitely it is market demand, because this is also another thing that I always say, that ESG management, it is risk and opportunity management. Yeah, so sustainability, what it means about being efficient in your processes. It is being innovative and developing new products. It is having good relationships or being respectful to your employees and so on and so forth. So good management of these topics, it helps your company to grow, And bad management of these topics, it can give you like really serious financial risks. And investors, including banks also, so we are becoming more and more aware of these risks. And we are, in our daily basis, we are looking for investments in resilient, promising, and future-looking companies. And this is the why we are doing this.
It's just being wise.
Yeah, exactly. This is risk management. Banks, we are very pragmatic people, yeah. So there are no emotions, well, mostly. Mm-hmm. But so it's risk management, risk and opportunities management.
So if you're not into sustainability, you're not sustainable.
Yeah, in Latvian, if I can say this word, yeah, so we have this ilgtspējīgs, yeah, so what it means, it's ilgt un spēja, so
lasting,
yeah.
Long-lasting capability.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. All right, or capacity. Yep.
Yeah, so Nora mentioned about requirements and the regulatory. So this is, of course, it plays very important role in our agenda, but I'd like to a bit look on that from other perspective. First of all, why banks are doing that. We understand that actually we are in a way extended hands of the regulator, of the policymaker, because the essence is that we are those who decide how the capital inflow goes into an economy. And we are the first layer who can assess with whom we are cooperating, with what kind of companies, customers, are they sustainable, not sustainable, maybe they are, super carbon emission intensive companies and so on. And that is actually our role to be responsible in the way how we are doing the business. That's one thing. Second thing is that besides all the requirements, I think you have noticed that most of the banks have defined their targets, which are disclosed, which are communicated. Those are, short, mid, and long-term targets. And this is this is public commitment what we have done. And the third thing is all the regulatory requirements what we are obliged to implement, because this is also the thing what actually many of you have heard about, the Omnibus initiative, which is currently active on the EU policymaker level. From one thing, it's good because we have to say that we became too complex and too complex, I would say, at the EU level with all those regulatory stuff, hard to understand, hard to operate within that environment. It needs to be simplified, but the visible part of the iceberg is that Omnibus, what is communicated, that it gets, more simple, it will be, postponed, applied to less companies and so on. And business environment, the sentiment now is that it's an opportunity to be like a chill a bit. I mean, it does not apply to me anymore, as a company. But another thing is that invisible part of the iceberg is that there are a lot of requirements which are coming directly to the banks, and those are not simplified. Those even comes more demanding and with more challenging timelines. And this is what's happening currently in the market, that if the company thinks that we can be chill, then you also need to think that when it comes to the cooperation with the bank, with the financing, that there will be questions related to the sustainability, because we feel responsible to whom we lend the money.
Will it make banks even more rigid? AML and stuff and all other regulations.
No, I would say we are doing a lot within for example, the association level. We don't want to end up in the situation that this becomes another, AML, KYC thing. That's why we are talking what can be in common, what can be changed on the policymaker level, how to make data more collected, more available for any type of the end user, not only the banks, also the companies, they would gain a lot if they could have a lot of different, open sources for data, or even one data hub, the country level, where they can take everything what's needed, or even, bank can take directly from there and ask less questions to the customers. This is our dream, that we ask less questions. So that's how it works.
Because your customers are prepared.
Yes.
Okay, I will ask Nora about the data, but before that, Marta, what is your answer to this question?
Yeah, I would agree with my colleagues that there are definitely two sides of the coin. We have the regulatory push, but there's also the internal ambition. And I'm sure it's similar within your banks, but we have strategically embedded goals for what we want to finance in terms of sustainable financing. We have a target for 2027 to triple our sustainable financing portfolio, and that's because we believe there's business there.
You believe, or your shareholders believe?
Them as well.
Also?
Them as well. Yeah, we also have, I think, members of Greenpeace in our shareholders, so it's worth remembering that. But yeah, I think as well, it's part of our promise to our investors, and we do see a natural growth in the market, especially in real estate and renewable energy. If we're thinking about new financing, these are already in green categories, and we do think that this will grow in the future. And to add to that, I think we also see in the future for sustainable finance that we will have a growth in transition financing, financing for companies who are looking to transform their activities. And I think in the medium term, we really do hope to see more of that in the Baltic market as well.
Oh, thank you. As you saw, just please, you can ask your questions or make comments in menti.com, so you can join in the discussion. But now let's get back to data. Has ESG data become a new measure of business performance, and how are banks and investors using that in their decisions? And are companies ready for delivering that data, as we spoke that it would be easier? Nora?
Yeah, so at first answering whether it has come the business data, I would say absolutely. And I would also say that the biggest challenge probably with ESG data is that companies, they don't kind of understand it, like they feel abstract and disconnected, like what is this ESG data? Like, for example, I'm coming to you as a business person, and I'm saying, Valdis, you now have to calculate your CO2 emissions. And you're like, what? What do you want from me? Like, what, what are you speaking about? I need to run my business. I need to think about my sales. I need to take care about my employees. I don't care about CO2 emissions. And I can understand you. But the moment when we explain or we translate this ESG data into business language, I think it probably makes sense, because I will keep this simple example about CO2 emissions. So what drives your CO2 emissions? It is your energy consumption, it is your fuel consumption, it is your resources consumption. And when you calculate your emissions, or when you look at these emissions, what you actually do, you ask yourself, or you can do this exercise to understand whether there's something that you can maybe make more efficient. Maybe you can reduce some waste. Maybe you can do some kind of innovations in your processes so that the energy consumption goes down. So it means that your costs will be less. You will drive your productivity. You will do just better business. And as a side factor, you will also decrease the CO2 emissions. Does it make sense now?
Absolutely. Because once you mention money, me going.
Makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, show me the money.
Yeah, and this is what exactly how investors, and again also banks, how we are seeing ESG data. Those are the identification how well the business is being managed. And because we not only look about how business is doing today, but it's also very important for us to try to understand how your business will act also in the future, and how resistant it is to different changes and risks. So definitely business ESG data is a measure how we can see your business performance. And that is something that we, sustainability professionals and also finance partners, we try to explain to our clients and society. So, and I think that when companies will start to look at this, at the ESG data and ESG in total, from this perspective that it's efficiency, it's innovation, it's stability, then it will also stop feeling like some kind of bureaucracy thing, and it will just make sense. Why? And it becomes actually like a management tool.
But actually, it could be just one question: are you into long term?
Yeah. Again, we come back to this ilgtspēja, yeah. Mm-hmm. So long term thinking.
Okay, and because if all the data shows that I don't care about sustainability, then it means I'm not into long term.
Yeah.
All right. Marta, what data is expected from companies? So what should I prepare?
Yeah, to really build on what Nora said is that we're interested in the data that is material for your business. So if we look at the previous reporting standard for CSRD, it had like more than 1,000 data points. You kind of see that, you want to give up. It seems unreasonable. Yeah. But the idea was always in the beginning that you report on what is material, what has impacts, what has risks, what might give you opportunities. So the approach is quite similar here, because when we are analyzing a company, we want to identify potential ESG risks. For that, ideally, we need quantifiable information. So we can track it, we can measure it against peers. And from this assessment of ESG risks, we want to come to an assessment of potential impact on the credit risks. Because it might be there, we just need to see whether it follows through. And maybe to go on this example of emissions, the link is, I think, the clearest there. If we have a company working in power generation who is dependent on the cost of carbon goes up, your balance sheet is directly impacted. And this is a clear credit risk for the bank. Maybe a bit more practically, I would also encourage companies, especially SMEs, to look at the VSME standard, the voluntary reporting standard. Just this summer, we had an official recommendation also from the European Commission for SME companies to use this, for larger companies to rely on this when asking for data to smaller peers in their value chains, and also for financial institutions to base their information requests on this standard. So that's quite a practical recommendation there. And if I could mention two examples. One for larger companies is that relatively recently, and I think other banks are going in that direction as well, we have started assessing and examining companies' transition plans. So what does this mean? It mostly focuses on emission reductions, whether the company has plans to reduce their carbon emissions, whether they have activities planned to do that, whether they have plans for financing set aside or needs for financing to actually implement these plans.
Or by quotas.
Or potentially, yeah, whether they have set aside additional bags of money for that as well, and whether the company has the governance in place to actually implement these needed changes to transform it. And on the one side, this is an assessment also of companies' risks, but at the other end, we see that it might be an opportunity. And I mentioned in my introduction these sustainability-linked loans, which are quite popular in Europe and Scandinavia, where a company ties their sustainability targets, like an emission reduction target, basically to their interest rate. So if you move year by year towards achieving your target, your interest rate goes down. If you don't, it goes up. And this is like a commitment that you tie yourself into. So for a large company to prepare a plan like this, even if it's not called transition plan on the title, it's in your business strategy, you can analyze your potential risks and you can see direct opportunities, which we are happy to finance in that case.
What companies we are talking about? So SME, small, medium company. So me and my wife having a company, should I prepare the data?
I would say transition plans, let's leave those mostly for large companies in emission-intensive industries, power generation, real estate, manufacturing. But this reminded me of the other example for smaller companies where you might own your own real estate, maybe you're managing real estate, then one very tangible thing to prepare is the energy performance certificate.
So get rid of that real estate and just...
No, assess where it stands, assess whether it needs improvements, and I think supplementing what Nora said, the energy performance certificate, it's not just about the energy performance of the building, it's also about the cost effectiveness of the building being future-proof to compliance coming from regulation. So if you own a building, I would recommend getting
Does it mean that, for example, small, medium companies could just move towards the buildings, the transportation, which is already sustainable or more sustainable, and get rid of their own possessions just to make sure that they're clean?
I think we also need to do the transformation. I think when we also assess the life cycle impacts of renovations and new buildings, there's definitely value in renovating, and I think we will need to do a lot of transformation, sort of keeping that circular economy principles in the back of our minds,
All right, last thing for all of you, and then we will take a look if we have any questions. Beyond reporting, which actions can companies take to strengthen their overall sustainability performance and credibility with financial partners? Marta already mentioned some of those. Anything to add?
No, maybe I will answer a bit like broader, because you mentioned about the definition, like what is the SME company and so on. I think this is not about definition. This is about for the company to understand in what market, in what kind of business area, and with whom they are working. Because even if there is a case that regulation does not apply directly to their company, that particular company needs to understand with whom they are working. If they are working with large company, which is required to have transition plan, which have specific targets, which have to prove that their policies, governance, everything is in place. They need to understand that small company need to understand that working with that kind of company will lead to questions how sustainable is the company, the small and medium entity. They will have to be able to talk about sustainability in a more specific and tangible way. That is one. Secondly, if that company is in the export market and working with the companies from abroad, especially large ones, there is even higher chance that this is about the questions related to sustainability. Because sustainability, if you have tangible things, data-driven things, you have done your, at least some part of the homework, this is about your competitiveness. At the end of the day, this is not so much about only about the price of your service and product. You also have to be able to prove that you are sustainable, because this is important for those large companies. They have to disclose at the end of the day that they have the processes in place, how they are assessing with whom they are working. So that is basically my maybe message, what I would like to take, that this is not only about the regulatory requirements, which are applied directly to the specific company.
Okay.
Yeah, so I will be very short. So my greatest wish and probably main advice also, especially for the SMEs, is for the companies to really understand the essence of sustainability and think about it like just another management function. Like you have financial management, you have HR, you have marketing in your company. So the way is also now sustainability should be one of the management functions that you have. And you don't have to be perfect on every topic. It's totally fine to understand your weak points. And it's just like the idea is about understanding those weak points and about thinking, having a clear plan how you can improve on this. And so if I have to summarize like what you have to do in terms of this sustainability for what we are expecting, so at first understand your real impact. Then understand your real impact. So then set these some kind of realistic, pragmatic goals, how you can improve this impact. Have this in your internal, like, everyday business management. It's not about another report. It's not about the strategies that you just like once wrote and then it just sits somewhere and nobody reads it. It's totally not about that. And just be transparent. Speak about what the things that you do and make that report. But this report, it's like the final outcome. It's not the goal.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, remember, it's just a tool, or it is the tool.
Yep.
Thank you. Marta, anything to add?
Yeah, I would really stress that it's necessary to place sustainability and your sustainability colleagues and the functions and the roles within this business development function. Because I think we meet too many companies where there is a poor single lawyer who's added like 30% of working time. Oh, you'll deal with sustainability because it's coming from compliance, or in different functions and roles which are kind of adjacent or additional, but it really needs to be part of this business development and strategy function, whether it's an additional FTE or it's within a specific role in the board, in the management. That's what we would really want to see, and to start the conversation with our clients and companies from there. So how does sustainability fit within your overall strategy?
Question to all of you. Do you have any idea how to deliver the message to SMEs that this is for their growth and not only regulation?
Well, that is something that we are trying to do now, I guess, yeah. So did we succeed? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did. So we did it.
I think more practical examples are needed. And some time ago there were a question, what banks specifically would like to know what we did on the association level. We developed.
There is one question also in Menti. What are 3 questions you will ask me?
I think when it comes to the quantitative data, this is going to be about the CO2 measurement. That is the first question. Mm-hmm. Second, I think, will be about the energy efficiency. Yeah, so that's about the building and where you are operating. And the third could be a bit related to the governance. But colleagues, feel free to jump in. We are not expecting from SMEs thousands of policies and instructions and so on. We understand that this is business which is run in a bit simplified way. This is not the case, but at least some homework needs to be done. But
it mostly also differs from the sector that the company is working on. But energy efficiency or energy consumption and resource consumption, those are most probably the topics that we will speak about. Most probably also some kind of policies or procedures about social topics like your relationship with your employees and definitely governance. But governance, that is already like.
All right. Before we move for lunch, there is not a question, but thanks to Swedbank and all you do on educating SMEs and general society. The materials and events you have produced are very helpful, and also to participants of our discussion. Thank you all for the job you do informing and patiently also elaborating on what exactly do you need from SMEs. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.